Roger Short, who's a friend and mentor of mine, also says failure happens in isolation, success happens in community. And to break down that community, it's a couple things. One, it's accountability in that community. And it's not the accountability. A lot of us shudder when we hear that word accountability. That just means somebody's checking up on me. It's not that at all. It's a community that if I want to do something great, the first step to that is to say to my community, I'm going to do this. Now it's out there. And if I don't do it, I can lie to me all day, but I can't lie to my community. So I've got to get out there. My community is full of people that want to see me succeed.
If you learn to develop these 5 traits early on in your insurance career, you will not only just survive, but you'll separate yourself from the 92% that never make it. Today on our podcast, I have my good friend, the host of the Medicare Sales Playbook podcast, Mr. Dallas Keithley is in the house, and I've asked Dallas to come on our podcast because he trains new agents all across the country. He is in rooms with very successful agents all across the country, and he interviews very successful agents from all different parts of the country to talk more in depth about these 5 traits that you need to adopt and begin to implement in your life if you really want to thrive in this business. Mr. Dallas Keithley, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Dude, it is an honor and a privilege. When you asked me, I thought he must have emailed the wrong guy, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, buddy. I accepted immediately. So then I'm in, right?
Yeah, well, I definitely am thankful for your time today. I know you're going to bring tons of value to our audience. And I tell this to every guest that we have, Dallas, is that I put this podcast together to give back to an industry that's given me and my family so much. And you know this, and here's where I want to start before we dive into the 5 traits here is, you know that there's a lot of agents out there that are starving for more. Maybe they just feel like they're lost, they're confused, they're overwhelmed. Maybe they just feel like they've been ghosted. Talk about what you're seeing when you travel all across the country with new agents and really what they're crying out for.
Yeah, Rob, that's a big loaded question. And you are right. This industry's been so good to me. I've been doing this for 25 years now, and it is provided more for my family and I that I could have ever imagined. God's been very good to us, and He's supplied and given me the energy and the health and the ability and people around me. So it has been amazing. I love the fact that you're giving back, and man, you've given so much to me and my family. And so I love that you are a giver, and that shines through in everything you do. To answer your question, man, there's a couple things, and I'm going to address, they'll fall into what I'm talking about today with the 5 things, but people are missing out on a valuable community that they can lean on and lean in. And they're missing out on this business can be so lonely. This business it puts you on an island, and it can be very, very lonely if you're not careful. Even successful agents, you would think that successful agent, that solves all your problem, right? When you got all the money, all the problems are gone. It just means you got bigger problems. And that we're really missing that brotherhood in there of going to work every day and just being around people a lot of times.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up because, I mean, I can't tell you how many agents just in the past 2 days that I've talked to that feel lonely, that feel isolated. And I like to tell people when you're in isolation, that's when the negative thoughts really begin to flourish. That's when bad habits begin to flourish. And you're exactly right. Just because you hit at a certain income limit doesn't mean that you don't feel lonely. And I love the FMO that we're a part of, and that is Lasting Mark, because it's not only community, but it's really collaboration, right? It's not seen as like what I would call the Bloods and Crips, right? We're all against each other. And if you're not on my team or if you're not from my territory, I can't help you. There's this unheard of collaboration that's happening in the industry. And you're seeing people that felt lonely now for the first time are thriving because they have people cheering them on. So I definitely love that you're talking about. What else do you see in new agents before we dive into some of these 5 things here?
A lack of where to go. and lack of knowledge as to where to go. This Chris Ball, who's a business partner of mine, says it so well. He said, Dallas, in the insurance industry, there's so much, right? It's kind of like taking when you're a little kid and they just take a bucket of toys and they dump it out on the floor. And there's
Mm,
everything you could ever want to play with, but where do I start? Where do I
right.
go? And, Rob, in this industry and in life in general, right now, we're entering a new phase where we have AI and the internet. I know the internet's not new, but we have AI and all this stuff, and everything that you could ever want is there. But where do I start? What do I, how do I? So a lot of people see this big mountain of information and they just say, it's too much. I don't even know where to begin. So they
Yeah.
need direction and pointing, say, start here and then just do this.
Yeah, and you know this because I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's so easy to get seduced by what I call the sexy and shiny in this industry. And then you get your license, you get in, and then it's like a lot of people out there. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just saying that a lot of FMOs and a lot of uplines, they don't have a true roadmap to success, right? It's kind
Mm,
of like they told you how much money they're making, they told you how great it's going to be, and then you join, and it's like, then what? Like, what's step 2? What's step 3? What's step 4? And if there's no clarity there, it just breeds confusion. So I definitely love that as well. Let's dive into the top 5 things here. You interview leaders all across the
mhm.
country. You're in very, very big rooms where there's a lot of big leaders that are very successful. Let's start with trait number 1. What do you see from these successful agents that's allowed them to stay in this business and thrive?
The hardest part about this, Rob, was narrowing it down to 5. I wanted to put in
Yeah,
there that leaders are readers. They study, and that
yeah,
may fall into a little bit of it. I guess that'd be the honorable mention. But
sure.
there's so many things that they do. But the number one thing that I see and what amazes me is number one,
Mhm,
they are coachable and they have a
mhm,
mentor those go hand in hand. Um,
okay.
I have interviewed people that are very, very successful, agents that are making literally millions of dollars a year, and they are out there looking for mentors. I just got done with a interview, and after I was done, and this is a gentleman that he could retire today and be
Mhm,
very okay for the rest of his life. And he asked me, could you connect? I know you know this person. Could you connect me with them? Because I would like to learn from them. So
wow.
successful people are people that are coachable. They realize they don't know everything. I see a lot of people fail in this industry because they do one thing their entire career. And then when that doesn't work, they just give up because they're not willing
Mm,
to go ask somebody else, how do I become this or this? I have never, and I say this, I hate the words never and always and all that, but I cannot remember a time where I have ever interviewed or spoken to a successful agent that didn't have a mentor.
hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up because I was sharing this with an agent the other day that I consider Brian Askins to be one of my mentors, right? Obviously, he's a mentor of yours and mutual friend. But it's like, why would I want to reinvent the wheel? Why would I not want to listen to a very successful person like this? And we're not that far apart in age, but it's like, who cares? Right?
Mhm,
He's somewhere where I want to be. And listen, if you're watching this or listening to this today, this is a nugget for you. Maybe you've been a little prideful. Maybe you've
mm,
allowed a little ego to get in the way, and that is really keeping you from breaking through to the next level. And all a mentor really is, if they're a true mentor, is it's somebody who's going to help you get to the place that you are wanting to go to or get to. And here's the neat thing. It's really a hack to success, Dallas, because it may have taken that mentor of yours 20 years to get there, but if you're willing to be coachable and teachable, they may show you how to get there in 3 to 5. Right? Have you seen
yeah.
that in your experience that you've been mentored yourself?
100%. It is a
Yeah.
cheat code, right? It's a cheat
Yeah.
code to get there, and, man, if I would have listened to a lot of people, I'd be farther along where I am
Yeah.
today, and, I love that you
Fact.
mentioned age. We look at when we think of mentor, like, we think of the Yoda, right? We think of the older
Yeah.
and, we're not listen, if Brian's listening, I'm not talking about him, but we think of the older, wiser man that's at the end
Yeah.
of his road, and he's giving out all the secrets.
Yeah.
I learn a lot of
Yeah.
people from a lot from a lot of people that are a lot younger than
Sure.
me. We just had Caroline Tricarton on. That girl is
Yes.
teaching me. I've done hundreds of seminars. I watch her do her seminar and I'm learning stuff from her. I look at,
Yeah.
guys like Mike Quartain, Jalen Talley, that are
Sure.
friends of mine. They're producing $7-8 million a year in revenue.
Yeah.
And man, when those guys speak, I'm going to listen. Yeah, I'm old enough to be
Absolutely.
their dad, but man,
Yeah.
they have been given a gift and they've got that experience quickly, and they're tied into what the younger people are doing. So I'm in. I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the record, Brian, we're going to call you seasoned in this interview. You're a seasoned
Yes,
man.
yes.
You're seasoned, and John Maxwell says it this way. And I love John Maxwell, the OG. He says we can learn something from anybody. Right? It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter if they're more successful or not than you. You can learn something from anybody if you really want to be coachable and teachable and live your life with a lot of intentionality, and if you live on purpose. All right. So number one was be coachable, have a mentor. What's number two?
Number two, we've really kind of discussed already, but it's having that community, right? Roger
Community.
Short, who's a friend and mentor of mine, also says failure happens in isolation, success happens in community. And, to break down that community, it's a couple things. One, it's accountability in that community. And it's
Sure.
not the accountability. A lot of us shudder when we hear that word accountability. That just means somebody's checking up on me. It's not that at all. It's a community that if I want to do something great, the first step to that is to say to my community, I'm going to do this. Now it's out
Right.
there. And if I don't do it,
Right.
I can lie to me all day, but I can't lie to my community. So I've got to get
Right.
out there. My community is full of people that want to see me succeed. I tell my kids almost every day, there's two types of people in this world, people that want to see me succeed and the rest. And I don't care about the rest. I care, but I'm not taking their input. And it's not only that community, it's people. The scripture that I use all the time when it comes to community is we rejoice with those that rejoice and we weep with those that weep. It's people that have
Sure.
my back, and man, they are people that God has placed in my life. And I look at them
Yeah.
like circles, on a target. My bullseye, that's my community. And then I have my outer and my extreme outer, but man, that bullseye, that's the people that I want to be around and learn from, and man, just absolutely better myself because I'm in it.
Yeah, one of my favorite definitions of accountability comes from a friend of mine who's a John Maxwell coach, and it's always stuck with me. He says accountability is the account of our ability and not our inability. So when
Mm.
you're in that circle, that true circle, they're reminding you of your true ability, your true purpose. And like you said, a lot of times we think accountability, and maybe some of us have been victims of bad accountability, where it's just beating you down and condemnation and fear. That's not true accountability. True accountability is reminding you of who you really are and the gifts and the skill set that God has put in your life. Talk about how important alignment is with that community before we move on to number three, if you don't mind.
Yeah, when something doesn't align, I've got to look at one of two things, right? I have a calling on my life. I have a purpose on my life. So when something in my
Yes.
community doesn't align, I have to determine, is that because I'm out of alignment or they are out of alignment with my goal and my purpose? If I'm out of alignment, I correct me. If they are out of alignment with my calling and my
Sure.
purpose, maybe that's a
Yes.
person that maybe doesn't belong in that bullseye. That's a person that may belong on the outer edge. Like you said, I can learn from anybody, but finding that group, and you say, well, Dallas, how do I find that group?
Yeah.
Finding that group involves a lot of listening and
Mhm.
seeing their reaction to what happens in your life. Like I said, if somebody is there for you when you are down, when you are
Yeah.
struggling, and they're there not saying, I told you so. I told you if you did this, you would fall. But they're saying, hey, let's learn from this together. Let's get up.
Yeah.
Man, I've been there. I think you have said those exact words to me, Dallas. I have been there. It's going
Yeah.
to be okay. Here's why it's
Yeah.
going to be okay. And here's how we together are going to get through this, right?
Yeah.
That's the community I'm looking for that's aligned with my goals and my purpose.
Yeah. I love that. I always tell people, Dallas, the grace of God allows us to fail forward.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be with a community that allows me to fail forward, not stay stuck in the past, right? But learn from those mistakes and get better and not get bitter. So I definitely love that. So number one was coachable, having a mentor. Number two was community, along with that accountability. What's number three?
Number three, I put in UNO. It's our urgency and our organization. And those two
Mm,
have to go hand in hand. I see a lot of agents come into the business with urgency, but there's no organization. So it's just a
Mm,
chicken with their head cut off scenario, man. Yeah, they're
yeah.
running hard. There's action happening. There's feathers flying everywhere, but nothing's actually getting accomplished. But I love to see agents that come in with organization. Our good buddy Cody Askins says,
Yeah.
think slow, or he says, sorry, details delay, right? Like once he
Right.
finds out that this is where we want to go and we're organized to get there, start stepping and get there. And this is something, when you start out in this business, the I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word. It's almost a dirty word in the insurance world, and that's contracting, right? Like
Mm,
when you get into this
yeah.
business, that's the first thing you have to do. And you can
Sure.
tell a lot from an agent. You can learn a lot from an agent about how they're going to do by how they do their contracting. It takes 3 or 4
Yeah.
weeks. They don't answer this email. Stuff falls through the cracks. They're just kind of like, why can't I get this? And there's no urgency and there's no organization. And so it really comes down to them seeing the big picture, but doing the little puzzle pieces that need to be done to get pushed forward to that big picture.
No, I love that because one of the sayings that I have is that everybody talks about breakthrough, right? That's a cliche saying in our industry. We want a breakthrough. We went to this event to get a breakthrough. We went to this person to get a breakthrough. But what I have found, Dallas, is that breakthrough really begins to happen when we're willing to consistently do the basics and boring every single day. Some of the
Mhm.
basics and boring is doing your contracting right, is being organized, is tracking your numbers and all of those things. If you're able to share one practical tip here, like what have you seen other agents do to maybe get on the road to being a better organizer? Because I know what people are saying out there that are watching this or listening to this, because a lot of them are like me. By nature, I'm not an organized person, right? I'm a spontaneous, fly by the
Mhm.
seat of his pants guy, but I've had to discipline and put that habit in place. Give us one practical tip that could maybe help someone today in the organization area.
Well, a couple things. One, if you're going through contracting or anything like that, I have one email that is only designated for that. So
Mm,
anything
okay.
that, and I guard that email address, like 4 people in this world have it, right? And
Yeah.
so I watch that one very carefully if I'm going through some contracting stuff. But the big thing is, Rob, Jeff Bezos said, I hire people that are better at things than
Mm,
that are good at the things that I am not good at. And people always say, hey, are you looking for another Jeff Bezos when you go hire somebody? He said, I have Jeff Bezos. Why would I want to
yeah.
hire another Jeff Bezos? He goes, I want somebody that is really good. Man, one of the things that we have done is we have an amazing team. And
Yeah.
one of my weaknesses is I have always been a guy that's like, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. I'll
Yeah.
just do it. Right. I've
Yes.
got to learn to go, for example, Jamie on our team at Medicare Sales Playbook. That girl can develop a PowerPoint. She can do spreadsheets. She can do all that stuff. And I stink at it. Like I can duct
Yeah.
tape it and patch it together and maybe some baling twine, or I can give it to
Yeah.
her and in 10 minutes it's professional. So hiring
Right.
people that are good at what I don't want to do or not good at doing.
No, and I think that's another success hack, right? Another cheat code
Mm,
is to hire someone, like you said, to do the things that you're not really good at. I know here in our agency, we have 2 assistants, and each assistant that we've hired has helped us go to another level because they're doing a lot of the things that maybe we weren't good at or that just really brought us down and hindered us from
mhm.
being urgent and being organized. All right, so what's number 4?
Number 4 for me is a system. I
Okay.
failed in this industry. I don't like the word fail because fail just means that
Yeah.
the fight's over. I got knocked down
Yeah.
a couple times in this industry.
Yeah.
And man, Rob, one thing that I've always prided myself in is my work ethic. Man, I've poured concrete. I've done roofing. I've scooped stuff out of cow chutes in dairy barns and I would show up and I'd get there first and I'd wear my best suit, but I didn't know why I was failing. It was
Mm,
Cody Askins that came along and said, hey, we have to develop a system that gets us in front of people on a daily basis. You said earlier, when we were talking about being coachable and all that stuff, a lot of people get in this business, man, and they are ready to rock. They're like, man, I'll do anything. I'll run through a wall, whatever. But you ask them, okay, what are you doing on Tuesday at 10 o'clock? I don't
right.
know. Like, I'll run through a
Yeah.
wall. But what are you doing on Wednesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I don't
Right.
know. Right. And so they don't know what to do on a daily basis. We as people, most of us come from a world where we clock in at the time somebody told us to be there. We then go and find out what we're doing that day from somebody else. Then we go and we clock out for lunch and we clock back in when somebody tells us to. Then we do what somebody else tells us to. And then we go home when somebody tells us to. And then we get to this and nobody's telling us what to do. We have no system to make sure that we are completing revenue generating activity on a daily basis.
Yeah, and if you don't have a system, really what happens is you just stay busy but not productive. Right? So
Mm.
you run into a lot of agents that are busy, 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 but really at the end of the year, the numbers don't really show that they were productive. They were busy with all this stuff, just running around, like you said, and not really having any direction, but not being productive. What kind of systems do you see some of these top agents have in place? Does it start with the CRM? Do you see them have a follow-up process? Is that a delegation process to hire an assistant? Talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, I think the way it worked for me is I delegated certain hours in my day for certain things. Um,
Sure.
Before 9 o'clock and after 7 o'clock at night, that was when I studied and learned, and if there was paperwork to do or whatever. The hours from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m., and I'm not saying all of those hours, right?
Sure.
Because guys, you don't have to work 80 hours a week in this business to be successful. I
Agreed.
truly, truly believe if a person would work, and I mean truly work for 6 hours a day in this business, you say, Dallas, 6 hours a day.
Yes.
Yeah. Think of how many people you can call in 6 hours. Like
Right.
you give me a
A lot.
thousand names, I can get through it in 12 hours. Like I can
Yeah.
dial and dial and dial. But if you were truly work for 6 hours a day in this business, I believe you could. But it's so one, I delegated my time. I between 9 to 7, that was my time to be trying to get in front of people. If I wasn't trying to get in front of people, it was learning more about how I could get in front of people, or I was in front of
Mm.
someone during those hours. Um, then it was developing a funnel system where I have 3 or 4 different inputs into that funnel that spits out qualified people, qualified clients at the end. Whether that be Medicare seminars or leads
Mm.
or warm
Mhm.
market or a referral system, whatever that may
Sure.
be, those have to be being poured into that funnel every
Mhm.
day. And then another thing is I am looking at what other agents are doing to see what's successful.
Yeah, no, I definitely love that. I was just talking with an agent about this the other day that all work works, right? Sometimes it has to work on you before it works for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're not failing, we're learning, right? We're learning and we're failing forward, if you will. And I love that because I'm the kind of person, and the analogy I used the other day, Dallas, with this agent was I want as many poles in the water as possible. And I'm using a fishing analogy, right? I want Medicare webinars, I want seminars, I want mailers, I want food pantries. All of these things allow me to be productive. And I love what you said. And I'm not hating on the hustle and grind culture. I personally don't adopt to that. That's just not who I am. But I believe that if I give it everything I got for X amount of hours per day, I can be just as successful. We've seen it in our own business here in the past almost 4 years. And not hating on those that want to work 16 hours a day. That's fine if you want to do that. But I do agree that if you do it with a lot of intentionality, you can definitely be really successful in this Medicare industry. Now, before we dive into number 5, if you're getting value out of this so far, please take a moment to hit the like button for me. Comment down below if there's something that Dallas and I have talked about that maybe you just want a deeper answer on. Comment below, and I promise Dallas and I will get back with you on that. And subscribe to our channel. This just helps me get more information to brand new agents like yourself. All right, number 5. And I know you said we could probably do 20, but for a 30,
Mhm.
35-minute podcast, we're going to squeeze 5 in here today. What is number 5?
Number 5 is mindset, Rob. Number
Mindset.
5 is simply having the right mindset. That mindset has to be a resilient mindset. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
an adaptable mindset, and it has to be a winning mindset with a very short memory. Um, we I was talking with my wife the other day, and we were talking about, I was getting ready to go to an executive meeting, and we were going over a profit and loss statement. And I just kept saying
Mhm.
P&L, P&L, P&L. And my wife is in a, she's not in the executive world. She goes, okay, sorry, what does profit and loss stand for? And I accidentally
Yeah.
said profit and lesson. And then I thought to
Mm.
myself, that's pretty good. Everything that I do can be measured as a profit or a lesson,
Yeah.
one of the two, right? So that mindset of resiliency, Mike Tyson said it best when he said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And let me tell
Yes.
you, Rob, this business can punch you in the face, right?
Facts.
Like your story is unbelievable. Like I think you got hit in the face with a bat, but it can punch you in the face, can knock you down. But it's that attitude of, I am going to get up. I am going to
Mhm.
learn from this. I may have walked right into that punch. I am going to learn from this. I am not going to do that again. I'm going to duck next time or whatever that may be, but I am going to learn my lesson and I'm going to keep going. Like I said earlier, there are these folks that, man, they go one way, one way, one way only, and then that stream runs out. Back in the day, man, you could make an amazing living just doing direct mail. Well, direct mail is down to 1% or so now. And there's a lot of people still doing it. But like you said, adapt to a Medicare webinar or adapt to a Medicare seminar or adapt to a different lead, AI, Chat GPT, Claude. There's all these things that we can do, but it's that resilient, adaptable, winning mindset. And then lastly, when it comes to mindset, it's that short memory of, yeah, I got punched in the face yesterday, but as Paul said, today's a new day, man. I'm going to get up. I'm going to face the day. And I'll tell you, Rob, when I was working hard, one of my problems was forgetting the good stuff. What I mean by
Mm.
that is, if I had a $3,000 day yesterday, I may not want to go out today. I need to
Yeah.
forget that, and if it's 0, 0, and I'm driving towards the goal that I have of seeing 15 people or whatever it may be.
So true, man. So true. We see some agents on all parts of the spectrum. You get some that get what I call, short-term rich. They get a little change in their pocket, and like you said, they just kind of get real complacent. But then you have an agent like I was talking to this morning. Like I told him, I said, how much did you do last month? Brand new agent, pretty much to the final expense space, and they wrote $20,000 in production premium. And I go, now
Oof.
listen to what you just said. You wrote $20,000. And listen, this guy, life be lifing out in his neck of the woods. I mean, he's getting
Yeah.
punched in the face, in the gut. Things are happening left and right. But I said, you still wrote $20,000 in simplified issued premium. Do you know how many agents would kill to write 20,000 in 1 month? Right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of agents that aren't even doing that, and it's like we get amnesia both ways, right? We forget, or then we forget that we got to keep going out the next day and being consistent as well. And I love the mindset piece, Dallas, and I want you to talk about this as we close out today. Is I hear people all the time that say it's the leads or it's my upline or it's the system or the CRM. I know you've heard that too, until you're just kind of like, talk about that, why the mindset's so important, because so many new agents get stuck in that. And I tell people this, Dallas, you can either blame or you can break through, but you can't do both.
Mm.
Expound on that for us.
Yeah. Rob, as I get older, I am learning that there are valid excuses. The leads
Yeah.
may suck.
Yeah.
Listen, newsflash, just in, most leads suck, right? All
Yeah.
a lead is an opportunity to get to be introduced to someone.
Yes.
I have to change what I can change, accept what I cannot change what I can. I
Hmm.
cannot, if my company's supplying me leads, I can either learn how to do those better or go find a new lead source. But the one
Sure.
thing I cannot do is sit and complain. I
Yes.
can't sit and complain. Nothing has ever been accomplished while complaining, ever in the history of man, right? And when it comes to mindset, I had somebody tell me this a long time ago. We had just watched an amazing movie, right? We had just watched Shawshank Redemption and,
Mm.
the stuff that the guy goes through and all that stuff. And the next day, me and the guy that I was working with, we had watched the movie together and we were going through and he had a flat tire and we were going to miss a really big appointment. And so we were trying to call this person, and if it could go wrong, it would go wrong. And he looked at me and he goes, how boring would Shawshank Redemption been if, Andy went to jail and then they came in the next day and said, hey, this was our mistake. You're free to go. And they roll the credits, right? No good movie has just, everything's fine, the end, right? You have to go through the hard times. You have to go through the stuff that makes you stronger and gives you grit and gives you determination. And in the end, gives you your story. Like, Rob, like I said, you have an amazing story, but it's because of the hard times, then the perseverance and the grace and the mercy and all of those things that make that full story.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because, my wife and I had the privilege to make a certain panel in our FMO. We call it the LM7, team. And it was so interesting that almost everybody that was on that team, if not everybody, that panel, that group, went through something really, really hard. Like nobody ever said from that panel that I know of, man, I just learned so much in my successful days. Everybody said I broke through, but I went through some crap. Right. I was almost beat down. I had money stolen from me. I had, millions or hundreds of thousands in chargeback debt rolled up to me. I had this person betray me. This person stabbed me in the back. It was like story of adversity after story of adversity. But they all said that because of their mindset, they broke through because of it. I like to say it this way, Dallas, is that I believe God does his best work in us in the hardest seasons of our lives. Right.
Yeah.
And so I love that you bring that up. And as we close today, talk to us about the Medicare Sales Playbook podcast. Who is it for? Why was it created? And what kind of information does it share for our community?
Yeah. When you described your podcast, I thought, you know what? That's kind of what we're doing here. Like, I want to help people. Like I said, this business has been incredible to me.
Sure.
It has given me more. I get to travel tomorrow. We're going to Phoenix. We're doing Medicare Sales Playbook training days all around the country. And so I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow and get to meet a lot of new agents there, and can't wait to meet them. But our purpose is to give back to this industry because, even you say, oh, it's a noble, and we're trying to be noble. We're trying to do right. But man, I understand the more we feed this industry, the longer the industry will last, the longer it will continue to give back to me. So man, we get out there, and Rob, I get asked questions that make me wonder how people got their license, and I'm there to help those people. Like, I want to help people and make sure that they understand what they're doing and that their E&O's paid up. But every Thursday, Medicare Sales Playbook, we put out a new episode. So it's
and I'll
good.
put that link down. I'll put that link down in the video description. But let's say somebody just wanted to contact you. Is the best place to go through the Medicare Sales Playbook YouTube podcast, or find you on Facebook, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
All the social medias. We're on social media channels that I don't even know exist yet. But TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, also just my name, Dallas.Keithley, Keithley at MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. And I'd love to. One of my favorite things to do, Rob, is to brainstorm with people. So if you reach out to me and say, hey, Dallas, I'm trying to get to the next level, help me brainstorm. We'll set up a Zoom and we'll do some brainstorming together.
Yeah. And I can definitely vouch for that. You've been a good friend to me. You've done so much for my family and I. Definitely super thankful that God allowed us to cross paths in this life. Thankful for you and what the Medicare Sales Playbook is doing. And as we close today, if you are saying to yourself, man, I need to get in alignment with someone like a Dallas Keithley, don't put it off. Take action right now. Reach out to him. He's already said he will help you. He will do whatever he can to help you succeed. But all he can do is what he can do. You got to do your part too, right? You got to take action. You got to be coachable. You got to be all these 5 things, or be willing to adopt these 5 things in order for you to really thrive in this business. And by the way, if you're wanting to learn how to generate exclusive Turning 65 leads daily, then I want you to go watch this podcast interview here.